Panic rises as they realize they won't make it back without confronting the threat. Roger positions himself in front, raising his firearm. "I'll hold them off. Get to the door." He fires a warning shot into the air, causing the zombies to pause for a moment. Peter grips his weapon tightly. "We need to move, Roger." But Roger shakes his head, determined to protect his team. He fires again, hitting one of the zombies squarely in the chest. It stumbles but doesn't fall. "Go, now," he shouts again, the urgency in his voice cutting through the fear. With hearts pounding, the group makes a dash for the exit. Charlie and Lisa push past the door first, and Peter follows closely behind, glancing back at Roger, who stands firm, shooting at the advancing zombies. Just as Roger turns to retreat, he feels a tug at his leg. A zombie has caught up to him, its rotting hand grasping his ankle. He kicks it off, but another zombie lunges from the side, its mouth snapping dangerously close. Roger fires again, but the tight quarters make aiming difficult. "Roger, come on," Peter yells, and in that split second, Roger makes a choice. He breaks free, darting towards the door as the zombies close in around him. He can hear their guttural growls, feel the heat of their decaying breath as he races toward safety. He leaps through the door just as the zombies reach for him, and he barely clears the threshold as Peter slams the door shut behind him. The group breathes a collective sigh of relief, hearts racing as they lean against the door, listening to the thud of the zombies outside. They stagger back to the safety of the food court, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Roger takes a moment to catch his breath, looking at the faces of his companions. "We made it," he says, a mixture of pride and disbelief in his voice. Francine and Stephen greet them with concern etched on their faces. "What happened?" Francine asks, her eyes scanning for injuries. "Too many of them," Roger replies, shaking his head. "We need to fortify our defenses. They're not going to give up easily." They gather in the food court to discuss their next move. With the supplies they managed to gather, flashlights, batteries, and some non-perishable food items, they begin to devise a plan. Stephen suggests using the security footage to identify areas that are most vulnerable and creating a watch system to keep an eye on the entrances. "I think we should set up lookout posts," Peter suggests. "We need to know what's happening outside before it's too late." The group nods in agreement, and they split into smaller teams to cover more ground. Roger and Charlie head to the security room to study the camera feeds, while Lisa and Francine begin gathering more supplies from the food court and nearby stores. As they work, the sense of camaraderie begins to grow. They share stories of their lives before the outbreak, memories that feel like a distant dream now. Lisa talks about her daughter, reminiscing about her little girl's laugh. Charlie shares a brief glimpse into his life as a former athlete, the thrill of competition replaced by the struggle for survival. Stephen observes the unfolding interactions, realizing how crucial this newfound unity is to their survival. They are not just individuals fighting against the undead. They are a community, each member bringing unique skills and experiences that will help them endure. As night descends upon the mall, the atmosphere shifts. The group feels a heavy weight settle over them, an awareness of the danger lurking outside. They barricade the doors and windows, reinforcing their defenses while keeping watch. The mall becomes a fortress, but the darkness brings with it an unnerving stillness, broken only by the occasional moan of a distant zombie. Roger and Peter take shifts monitoring the perimeter, their weapons ready at a moment's notice. Inside, the group tries to find solace in shared tasks. They set up a communal sleeping area, designating shifts for lookout duty and keeping an eye on the monitors. Conversations turn from fear to strategy as they discuss what they need to do next. Finding more survivors, securing additional supplies, and exploring the mall's vast layout. In the early hours of the morning, Stephen checks in with Francine, who's trying to keep everyone's spirits up. "We'll get through this, won't we?" she asks, her voice a whisper amidst the tension. "Yeah," Stephen replies, though doubt lingers in his mind. "We have to." As the night drags on, sleep becomes a luxury few can afford. Each creak of the mall echoes like a thunderclap in their minds, amplifying their fears. But in the darkness, they find a flicker of hope, a determination to survive, to protect one another, and to reclaim their lives from the brink of despair. As dawn approaches, the mall remains enveloped in darkness, the shadows concealing both hope and danger. The survivors have settled into an uneasy routine, alternating between reconnaissance missions and barricading their sanctuary. With every passing hour, the reality of their situation sinks deeper. Each moment could be their last. The first rays of sunlight pierce through the grimy skylights of the mall, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. The group, weary from the night's watch, slowly stirs. Francine wakes first, feeling the weight of responsibility settle upon her shoulders. She glances around, noting that Stephen, Roger, Peter, Lisa, and Charlie are still asleep, exhausted from their efforts. She quietly moves to the monitors to check the security feeds, her heart racing as she scans the screens. Outside, a small horde of zombies congregates in the parking lot, their numbers suggesting that they are drawn by the scent of the living. Francine's stomach twists at the sight. They are not safe yet, and the mall's security measures will need to be reinforced. Feeling a sense of urgency, Francine wakes Stephen gently. "Stephen, we need to talk. There are too many of them out there," she whispers, pointing at the monitors. Stephen rubs the sleep from his eyes and joins her at the screens, his expression turning grave as he observes the growing horde. "We need to come up with a plan to distract them, draw them away from the entrances," he replies, trying to think through the mounting pressure. As the others begin to awaken, Francine gathers everyone to discuss their next steps. The group assembles in the food court, their faces a mix of fatigue and determination. "We need to create a distraction to lure the zombies away from the mall," she says, taking charge. "If we can draw them to one side, we might have a chance to gather more supplies or even find a way to fortify the entrances." Roger leans forward, the fire of leadership igniting in his eyes. "I can lead a team to create that distraction. We can use noise, set off alarms in the stores to attract them." He glances around the table, gauging the reactions. "But we need to be quick. We'll need cover to get back inside." "I'll go with you," Peter says, determined. "We can split up the tasks. A few of us can check the electronics store for supplies while you guys handle the distraction." Charlie raises his hand, visibly anxious. "I know the layout well enough. I can help with the alarms. If we can get them to the other side, it might give us the window we need." Lisa, clutching her daughter closely, watches the exchange with worry. "What about us here? What if something goes wrong?" "We'll be ready for anything," Roger assures her. "We'll keep the doors secured, and if we hear anything suspicious, we'll lock down the entrances." With their roles decided, the group shares a moment of quiet resolve. They know the risks, but the chance to secure their safety outweighs their fears. The team gathers weapons and supplies, preparing for their mission. Roger and Peter lead the way, flanked by Charlie, who carries a small backpack filled with items that could trigger the alarms. Francine and Lisa stay behind to watch over the remaining survivors, ensuring that everyone is ready to respond to any threats. As they step outside into the daylight, the brightness is disorienting after spending the night in the mall's shadows. They quickly make their way to the electronics store, their eyes darting around for any signs of danger. The parking lot is chaotic, with zombies milling about, and the group's hearts race in response. Once inside the electronics store, Charlie gets to work, scanning the area for anything useful. "We can rig the speakers to create a noise that will travel far," he explains, his voice steady despite the circumstances. "Just give me a moment." Roger and Peter scan the windows, their weapons at the ready. "Hurry up, Charlie," Peter urges, anxiety creeping into his voice as he watches a few zombies moving closer to the store. With a flurry of movement, Charlie manages to rig the speakers, his hands working quickly as he connects wires and adjusts settings. "This should do it," he says, taking a deep breath. On the count of 3, we trigger the alarms and make a run for it. 3, 2, 1, go. Roger barks, and Charlie flips the switch. The sound erupts like a thunderclap, filling the air with blaring sirens and flashing lights. The noise is deafening, drowning out everything else. Outside, the zombies turn their heads, drawn by the cacophony. They stagger toward the source, confusion etched across their decaying faces. "Now, let's go," Roger shouts, and the team bolts for the exit, adrenaline pushing them forward. As they sprint toward the parking lot, Roger glances back, ensuring the distraction is working. The horde is moving in droves, attracted by the noise, their gnarled hands reaching for the sound of life. "This way," he calls, leading the way to a nearby sporting goods store. Once inside, they quickly assess their surroundings. The shelves are stocked with equipment that could prove invaluable: bats, knives, and camping gear that may serve as weapons. Roger grabs a baseball bat and passes it to Peter while Charlie grabs a backpack filled with supplies. They fill their packs with whatever they can carry, the sound of the alarms still ringing in their ears. "We should head back," Peter says, glancing at the monitors in the store, which display the chaos unfolding outside. The distraction won't last long. As they exit the sporting goods store, the group moves quickly back toward the mall, navigating through the debris scattered in the parking lot. They can see the horde continuing to shift toward the sound of the alarms, but a few stragglers have begun to wander away, their rotting forms blocking their path.